Good morning. How are you today? I hope you're well. I'm going to tell you a story. Now, Jesus told lots of stories. Amongst other things, he was a great storyteller. He loved to tell stories and people loved to listen to his stories. Do you have a favourite story? I've got many. The Bible is full of great stories and we love stories, don't we? TV, storybooks, movies. Well, I've got quite an exciting story to tell you today. One with action, and we're going to understand what the story was, but then also why did Jesus tell it and what could it mean to you and to me. Well, let's have a look at our story. In this story there are two people who are building houses. They get to choose where to live and they're going to build their house from scratch. That's quite exciting, not something that happens to you or me every day. Well, the first guy, he built his house and he decided, I'm going to build it on a rock, a really firm foundation. That way my house will be strong. And he decided build it on rock because when the rains came down, when the streams rose and when the winds blew, his house stayed firm. But Jesus told about two people. So what about the other guy? The second guy, he thought, I don't want to build my house on the rock. He made a different choice. He chose a different view. He chose to build his house on the sand. But he found when the rain came and the streams rose and the winds blew, well, his house, it fell. And Jesus said it fell with an almighty crash. It's quite dramatic, don't you think? Don't fancy my house falling with a phenomenal crash. But why did Jesus tell this story? And when did Jesus tell this story? Well, he told this story to his disciples and to many, many people who'd gathered to listen to him. They'd been sitting on a hillside listening to his teaching. And at the end, really to make the point, he said, those of you here, those of you who've heard what I've said, if you listen to it, if you take it to heart and you live life this way, then you're like the man who built his house upon a rock. But others of you, if you listen to what I say and think, no thank you, I don't believe you, not for me, I'm going to do my own thing, well, the warning is for you, that you'd be like the person who built his house upon the sand. So it's quite important that we understand what Jesus said, what that teaching was that he'd been giving. We've been telling the people how to live a life that pleased God, how to live a life the way that Jesus was. He talked about loving God first and the importance of loving other people. He talked about a life of prayer. But he also said, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. You know, some of that teaching was really hard. What it taught us is every day we need Jesus' help, because without Jesus we can't do it. And that's the essence of his teaching. Live life with me. Ask me to come with you. He taught about prayer. So how can we do it then? If we have this choice to make about living on a solid ground or a bit of a shifting one, how can we do it? It is important to understand what he taught. So we can read our Bible. We can listen to the stories. And it's great that you're watching this today. Thank you. You know, you can accept that what Jesus said is true and is true for you. That his promises, that he knows you by name, that he loves you, that he has good plans for you, that he hears you when you pray to him and he answers you. Yes, those words are true for you and for me today. We can hold on to that. You know, those storms that we heard about, that rain that came down and the winds that blew, well, we have storms in our life as well, don't we? And maybe something is taken away. We lose something that's important for us. Maybe something unexpected happens. It's a bit of a shock. Maybe we're disappointed and really we realise that we're not in control of our lives. It makes us feel all shaken up, a bit like those storms. But it doesn't surprise God. You know, somewhere else it's recorded in the Bible that Jesus said to his disciples, look, in this life, in this world, you're going to have troubles. You will have difficult times, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. You know, and it says somewhere else that when God spoke, he said, look, everything that can be shaken will be shaken, but there are things that cannot be shaken, and they will remain. And those things that cannot be shaken, they're God's kingdom. The kingdom he's building in you and with you for his glory. The things of God will remain. And so how can we live our life on the rock that is Jesus and his word? We can read it, get to know it, we can believe it. But I want to read to you from the Philippians, the letter to the Philippians. This is where Paul gave some really great advice to some people who were trying to get it right, just like you and me. He wrote this. Look, summing it all up, friends, I say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating or thinking on things which are true, things that are noble, that are reputable, authentic, compelling and gracious, full of grace. Think about the best, not the worst. Think about the beautiful, not the ugly. Think about things to praise and not to curse. And we can do that, can't we? We can choose to fill our minds with the lovely, true, wonderful things. Now, I asked you right at the beginning, do you have a favourite story? Well, I'd ask you, do you have a favourite song? Because one of the ways I do this, one of the ways I try and fill my mind with things which are lovely, is to remember the words of worship songs and praise songs. To remember those truths that they tell us about God and Jesus, and to fix my heart on him. So why don't you have a think today? Think about a favourite story you could think about, or a favourite song that you can sing. And remember, ask Jesus for his help. Because when we do those things day by day, we can live our lives on the rock. Thank you. Bye now.